I am worthless.
Hi guys, Christina here, and I'm not going to monetize this video because there's background music from the neighbors. And you'll see my garden isn't exactly weeded. Right now is 83 degrees. Minnesota's been an absolute nightmare over the last week and a half. So right now, just watering some irises I had planted right before the heat wave hit. Anyway, the point of this video, Juliet Autumn had done a live stream tonight. Today's June 12th. And Vegan Gains was on there, and he was constantly on why she won't debate Dr. Avi and stuff like that. And I don't take a lot of stock in what the guy says. He doesn't look any healthier than I do. And he never really, on these videos that I've watched of him over the years, he never really gets into what the point of the vegan diet is supposed to be, which is the ethics and the animal ethics. He talks about that very little. Matter of fact, lately it's been that all carnivores should be sterilized and things like that so that other animals don't get harmed, which he claims that meat eaters are speciesist, and that's exactly what he is at that point. And it's okay to harm a carnivore, but it's not okay to harm another animal. So the man is a fake vegan. He is definitely not an ethical vegan, and so this is why he argues most of the time on the health aspects and not as much on the other, because he's trying something to convert people to veganism, and it's not right. Now, a few years back, he was going to be a keynote speaker at some vegan conference in Canada, and the guy who was organizing the conference looked him up and then declined him, and so Vegan Gains had a whole big, almost crying fit about this sort of thing on YouTube, and was calling the guy all sorts of names and everything. But we're talking a man who has been on YouTube showing a knife to his neck and threatening to kill people and threatening to beat people up and threatening MMA matches and all of this stuff. The guy is just bizarre. And honestly, I wouldn't want him representing me either. So today, being in the live chat, he turned around and he was pushing this whole time and talking about this cohort study on the health of veganism. And there were a few of his followers in there too that were saying, well, you know, it's there's less heart attacks, there's less strokes, there's less incidences of obesity and stuff compared to a meat or an omnivore diet. And they were not willing to listen at all to the fact that the omnivore diet, they're comparing veganism to a low-hanging fruit, which is the standard American diet that is modern, which is all the sugars, all the fats, all the oils. Vegan Gains was saying, well, show me proof that oil causes heart disease. Seriously, it's one of his quotes in her chat. They're not looking at the amount of processing, the amount of extra chemicals. And I mean, yes, everything is chemicals. I mean, unless you're, looking at things that are mineral based, you still are dealing with chemistry, you're dealing with all of that stuff. Everything is chemicals. But so what I'm talking about is where they're formulating these foods so that they can make extremely high profits, because those foods are going to get sold again. Potato chips, things like that. You're not just taking a chip, a straight potato slice, and sticking it in oil anymore. If you're having ones that are that simple and without preservatives and without extra chemicals in there, you're dealing with extremely high prices. So food that is affordable, once again, is not as healthy as just eating a clean diet. And not everybody is as privileged as I am right here to have a garden. And even then, I only have so much work I could do. I'd love to grow a lot more. And there's a lot of people who can't afford very much, so they eat what they can. And that, unfortunately, has been a really big problem in our healthcare system, between the diabetes and the obesity and everything else. And I'm just as guilty eating that way. I can't even call myself a victim, despite the fact that I go through binges where I eat everything in sight. I did this to myself, and it wasn't a matter of being so poor I couldn't eat. It wasn't a matter of not being able to grow things or anything else in my case. But other people don't have that privilege. They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the access, whether it's growing their own or buying healthy things at a good market or something. Food deserts are a prime example. So these people are comparing their vegan diet, their plant-based diet, to that. To people eating Burger King and McDonald's and living off of it. There's places in New Mexico and other areas where people, that's all they live off of is the fast food. They're comparing themselves to that low-hanging fruit of the standard American diet. They're not comparing themselves to an omnivorous diet where people are eating clean, and they're not doing a lot of baked goods. They're not doing a lot of these things. And that's why I call it low-hanging fruit. I want to see the studies, for one, and I posed this question in the chat and didn't get an answer. I want to see the studies that show, for one thing, Vegan Gains saying about this cohort study. He keeps quoting the American Dietetic Association and how healthy it is for children and all of this. And I want to see these actual studies on bone density, on brain growth, on all of that. Hi, baby. Hi. What you doing, sweetheart? Who'd you get away from? I always have visitors. What's the matter, sweetie pie? Hi, sweetheart. Oh, good baby, huh? Where's your daddy or your mommy, huh? Do you want to come get a drink? Are you thirsty? You are a handsome boy. Yes, you are. You're just a handsome boy. Did you want to come get a drink? Come here. Come here. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Well, I guess my video has been disrupted. And well worth it. Hi, handsome. You got pretty colors. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Huh? Who got pretty colors? Yes, you do. You got pretty colors. Okay, you go. Go find your parent. I'm gonna have to, I don't know, maybe post on Nextdoor or something. I don't know where that dog is from. I haven't seen him before. Well, anyway, I want to see these studies where, you know, they show the effects of a vegan diet on growing children. But the other thing that Vegan Gains quoted was, oh, you're still here? Hi. The other thing he quoted was that this cohort study that they had ensured that all of the participants were eating vegan diets. How? Did they lock them up? He never answered that either. And he never does answer questions unless you pay him to answer questions. If you give him his super chat money, he'll half answer you. And so that's what I want to see. I want to see an answer to that question, and I want to see this study about how this diet affects children. Juliet brought up a good point, as the vegan diet still is fairly young in our culture and worldwide. It's not something that a lot of people have been doing. And so we really don't have any ideas what the long-term effects or anything like that are. Right now, a lot of it is speculation, hasn't been tested, and the doctors who are promoting it and saying it's healthy, healthier than everything else, and that it's the best way to go in that, are vegan themselves and have an agenda to push. Yet they'll turn around and they'll complain that the meat industry and dairy industry has done studies, and therefore the studies are fake, and the results are fake. But yet they're quoting doctors who have their own agenda. And that's what concerns me. This isn't about health. Veganism is not about health. When you have to supplement as many things as you do when you're on a vegan diet in order to stay healthy and functional and not have brain damage and not have other things occur later, like, say, if you don't intake B12, that's not a healthy diet. And there's a reason why we evolved as omnivores. We were eating carrion, we were eating brains, we were eating grains, we were eating plants, what we could find, and what fruit we could find. And a lot of the fruit isn't like what we have now. But there's a reason why we developed that way. And so now they're trying to force this major change and claiming how great it is compared to having even just a little bit of meat in your diet once a week. They've lost the ethical argument. I don't mean that they've lost it against somebody else. They've lost it against themselves. People like Vegan Gains and other ones who push, that it's super healthy and it's the only healthy diet and all of this, and keep talking about Okinawa and all these other studies that are not long-term. They have lost the reason for them going to that diet in the first place. And they're lying about their claims. If they're arguing about the health aspect of it, they're lying. Now, if they're stating that, yeah, there's issues with the health, no diet perfect health-wise, and they're just being straight up honest about it. That's another thing. But Dr. Greger, some of these other ones, they're not being honest with anybody. And I think Vegan Gains is more of a fake vegan than anybody else because of his insistence that carnivorous animals that are made that way, that evolution has made them that way, and their anatomy and physiology depends on meat only, that they need to be sterilized or fed a vegan diet and have their brains altered or chips implanted that make them passive so they don't hunt anymore. In other words, they'll starve to death. And we'll lose entire species of animals that way. The man is a fake vegan. And he is, as he tries to say about others, he's a speciesist and he's dishonest. He even feeds his own cat a vegan diet, and a cat is an obligate carnivore. They have to have a meat diet. So he's torturing his animal. He had a wolf dog he did the same thing to, a half wolf and half something else. He did exactly the same thing, and the previous owner took the puppy back in 2 weeks because it was getting sick. This is Vegan Gains. The man is a fraud when it comes to his ethics, and that's why he's fully pushing the supposed health aspects instead, so he can get people to convert, because he has definitely jumped the shark on the ethical argument. That's all. Good night.